Am I audible? Am I audible at the back? Can you all hear me? Yeah. So good morning. Yeah. So I got to know today is your first class. So welcome to Shubhra Ranjan IAS. Yeah. So I'm Kritika, Faculty of History. So I am teaching history optionals here at Shubhra Ranjan IAS. And today I would brief you about, so I'll be teaching your world history. So I hope you got your timetable. You got to know about what are we going to discuss. So today being the first class, so let me brief you about what is history. So getting it? So I'm Kritika. Yeah. So what was the first thing you got to know when you heard that today is your first class of history? What did you feel? The first class, your opening class, your first class is history, right? So yeah? No, for history, it's the first class, right? Yeah. So when was the last time you all studied history? Class 10th? Okay. Then, when was the last time? You don't know? Yeah. Class 10th? Then, any graduates? Any history graduates? No? So class 12th? No? So, yeah, class 12th. So, very few. So, what did you get a feel? What feel did you get when you heard for the first time that you're going to study history for UPSC? What was your feel? Yeah, exciting, honestly. Okay, fine. Yeah. So, didn't you get a sense of fear? No? Really? Yes? Yes, okay, fine. Some no, then. And the first subject, what we're going to start with history is going to be world history. So don't you think that world history sounds a little bit interesting? Are you getting it? Because we are going to study about Japan, America, China, getting it? Europe particularly. So the first time we hear, see, as a history student, first time when we say it's ancient Indian history, people would be like, oh, ancient. Are you getting it? Medieval. Modern would be fine. Getting it world would be interesting. So these are the feelings generally what a students get for the first time, particularly after school and colleges regarding history. So let me brief you about how are we gonna move. If you look at our general studies paper, yeah, GS paper, I do brief this very often. When you look at it, there are 4 core subjects. So as you all know that these 4 core subjects, it almost touches 85% of your syllabus. So what are the 4 core subjects? The first core is history, followed by geography, followed by polity, and followed by your economics. So if any candidate who's thorough with these 4 subjects, automatically 85% of your GS preparation is covered. Mark my words, it's covered. So remaining 15% would be your current affairs and the allied part. So every year you update yourself with current affairs and you attach your current affairs with these core subjects. I hope you're aware of the preparation. But it's my duty to brief you because suddenly I can't start with world. I need to tell you how are we going to go, what is the syllabus, what are the components of history. And among these 4 core subjects, the biggest core is history. History is big. That's what I asked you for the first time because generally history is not taken as a very great subject in colleges. So that's what I asked you. The last part or the way where we studied history would have been our school. Most probably some graduates might have taken it. See, I was a history graduate. Getting it, I'm a historian. So history always fascinated me, but not for all. Getting it, the moment I say I'm a history teacher, people would say, history teacher? Are you getting the looks will go down? And particularly in South, because I'm from South India. So there it will be like, history? Okay, fine. Because there we do our history thoroughly. But the moment I came to North, particularly Delhi, so it's my 15th year of teaching. And in Delhi, it's my 10th year of teaching. So I've been here for the past 10 years. I was teaching history optionals and GS. So for this 10 years, my experience in Delhi, so when I say I'm a history teacher, people would be like, history teacher? History teacher? You know, the eyes would go up. I'll be like, what's there? The reaction what I get in South and the reaction what I get in North, it's extremely the opposite. Why? Because the subject is not perceived the same way how it is in South India. But there it's like, you know, we are beaten to death to study. Are you getting it? You know the education, how education is seen there. So no other option, you have to study. Ma'am, what do? No choice. Better luck next birth. Are you getting? You have no choice. Once you enter college, you have to study there. I think that's why education. It's a very different pattern there. But here, when I say history, they're like, "Ma'am, you know all the years. How do you teach history?" I'm like, "I teach." Like, how do you remember all of them? Because it's easy. Because there's always a misconception that the subject is tough, which is not. Are you getting it? And you people have no choice. Because general studies is a compulsory paper. So don't think it's not an optional paper. I tell my optional students, you don't like the subject, don't take it. Because optional, you have an edge to choose. You have an edge to choose because 5 to 6 months you're going to be with a teacher. And optional should be taken with love. And you should be connected with a teacher. And you should have something to write. And you should get something, where you score marks. So we are not here to make you graduates in history or graduates. No, my job is not for that. So my duty is to make you understand the syllabus, the subject, what I've been allotted. So for your batch, I've been allotted world history. So I tell my optional students, thorough optional. Come what may, 300 plus should be your aim. So you focus on because that's why you're here. That's why we are here. Imagine early morning, 8 o'clock, you sit and watch a class. For what? For what? Getting it? Because you need something in life and you want it to clear. And this 1 year of preparation, it's going to be a little bit tedious. I think when you start studying, you'll get the pressure. I'm not saying it's not. It is easy when you manage it in a right way. It becomes tough when you spoil it. Because I've given all my 7 attempts. Continuously, I've given my 7 attempts. So I know 7 years of investment. So though I did not clear, finally landing up as a teacher. But finally, the 7 years, when I gave this exam, I know the pressure. I know the pain. I know the consistency level. I know how we go on ups and downs. Because the field is like that. So are you getting it? But it's not that tough. That's what I tell my students. It's going to be easy when, number one, you understand the syllabus. First, you should know what is there in the syllabus. So as ma'am would have briefed you already, getting it, you might have had a very small briefing about how this exam is going to be. Because there would be people from any background. I think you would be engineers would be there, arts students would be there, science students, humanity kids, we have doctors, we have people from across, from all field. But how do we consolidate all of them and how do we precise, that's why we customize the syllabus. Getting, though the syllabus is vast, it says history of the world, getting it particularly modern world. So what are we going to study? Because there's always a notion that students think that, ma'am, is world history world's history? No. World history is not world's history. So I'm going to teach you only some part of history which is there in our syllabus. So first we need to understand this applies for all the other GS subjects as well. So getting on to the first part of history. In history, when you look at it, the first one you have is your ancient Indian history. That we all know that, followed by medieval Indian history, followed by art and culture, followed by modern Indian history, and then followed by post-independence history. So after modern, we start with post-independence, then the last one being world history. So these are the 6 components which you need to thorough for your general studies. So that is why I always say history is the biggest core. And when a student is thorough with all of them, because it's compulsory, you can't skip any of them. Ma'am, see, when I was preparing, hardly we get a question on ancient medieval art and culture. Hardly. Getting it, when I entered this preparation, there was no art and culture. Getting it, we never had art and culture in the prelims, particularly in GS. But after 2013, UPSC has introduced art and culture. UPSC has introduced world history. So these components, world, post-independence, art and culture, entered only in 2013. So now we are in 2023. It's almost 10 years. So, but now, are you getting it? So this part gets what? Becomes very scoring in your prelims. I hope you know that. Your prelims is more determined with what? Ancient medieval art and culture with modern Indian history. So that is why we always tell students, you should know where did our history begin from? What is the first topic of Indian history? What is the last topic? Because this subject is a static subject. It's not a, are you getting it? It's not a subject which you link with current affairs. No. The only subject where you do not have current affairs, that much is history. Are you getting it? It's a static part. It's a factual subject. You study the subject once, thorough it. The subject is going to stand with you for life. You study Akbar once, till you're 80, 90, Akbar is going to be the same. How will you update Akbar? How will you update Akbar? How do you update Gandhi? How do you erase Dandi March? How would you update Humayun's tomb? How do you update Sanchi Stupa? Maybe there are some current affairs which happens in a particular year. We connect it. Current affairs will supplement your GS. And this exam is not an exam of current affairs. I hope you know that. If this exam is an exam of current affairs, don't you think all the news readers will clear the exam? Because they know much current affairs than you and me. Are you getting it? But these are the basics. My father would clear prelims. He reads newspaper top to bottom, but he doesn't know Article 52. He doesn't know why is it raining. He doesn't know what did Ashoka do. He doesn't know, but he knows all the current affairs. Hope you're getting the link. So current affairs will supplement, and every year current affairs keep changing. So you need to be thorough with the previous 1 year of current affairs. So that's your part. If you appear for 2024, 2023 current affairs is important for you. So I hope you know that, but I'm just brushing it again so that you're in track. The next classes which you're going to be with me. So I do not want you to get any small doubt also regarding the preparation. Ma'am has briefed you enough. But in spite of that, let me touch about the topic history. So let's leave these for time being. And when you look at this ancient, medieval, art and culture and modern, the first 4 is for your prelims. Getting it? So you don't have post-independence and world history for your prelims preparation. So getting it? So you need to thorough these 4. So clear? Leave this apart. The concerned teachers will touch about it. And when you look at all these, these all are there for your mains. Getting it? So, and this falls in GS paper 1. And GS paper 1 is for 250 marks. So, are you getting it? So, it comes and all of them. And now our focus, my focus is world history. So, how are we going to study this world history? Hope you're getting it. So, you need to remember what are we going to study. For time being, ignore these 5 topics. Ignore. Because we are not going to touch about it. So, I'm going to focus on world history. Clear? So, what are we going to get? What is this GS paper 1, which is for 250 mark? See, in the GS papers for mains particularly, there are 2 papers which is static. GS paper 1 and GS paper 4. So any student, if you're thorough with GS paper 1 and GS paper 4, the static part, almost 50% of your job is done. Because GS paper 2 and GS paper 3 is current oriented. You need to push it with your current affairs. So that with your, updation in current affairs, and with completing the core topics, you will eventually get it. Facts are gonna be the same. So that is what GS paper 1 gets easier. So don't get a feel, ma'am, is it gonna be tough? Not at all. Nothing is tough. How do you make tougher ones easy? Start studying. How do you study? Be with the teacher, attend classes every day, write your notes every day, keep in touch with the teacher. Whatever homeworks the teacher gives you, do it. So if you have any doubts, contact the teacher. Get your doubts addressed, then keep moving to the next topic. So you keep on moving. Are you getting it? Because every syllabus is framed in such a way that we have numbers. I always go with numbers. Say for example, if you take world history, we have 15 chapters. Ma'am, only 15? Only 15. So it's not 15, 15. Are you getting it? And I always call history as the smallest subject. You will not believe me now. Are you getting? You'll think, ma'am, how could history be small? Because when I said it's going to be the biggest one, because the topics are less in number. First, you should know what is there in the syllabus. Without knowing what is there in the syllabus, how will you study? What will you study? You may end up studying Japan, but Japan is not there in our syllabus, so it's a waste of time. You may sit and study Indo-China, but that's not there in our syllabus. You may sit in my class thinking, ma'am will teach the entire world. Not at all. I'm not going to teach you entire world, because history of world is history of Europe. So I'm going to teach you the history of Europe only, not the world. That's what I told you. History of the world is not world's history. Even in optional, we don't study the entire world history. So the syllabus is clearly demarcated. So we keep moving according to our syllabus. So are you all clear? Getting it? So this is what is about this. And when you look at the previous year, see again, there are 2 things UPSC gives us as a key. So if you are thorough with these 2 things, almost again, you're on the right track. The first one, what UPSC gives is the syllabus. Thorough your syllabus. Ma'am, how will I thorough the syllabus? First, know what is there in the syllabus. So once you get to know the syllabus, number 1, you're on the right track. Number 2, PYQ. If you're thorough with the previous year question, you will know the trend of UPSC. So that is why we insist students to make sure that these two are your, you should keep it handy. You should know what is there. Because some students, when they study ancient India, they study some kingdoms which is not there in the syllabus. They end up studying for 4 hours, which is not there. But that's a completely waste of time. So when you're thorough with that, and the PYQ, UPSC is telling us, what is UPSC telling us? See, I am giving you a model. This is the pattern. So make sure that with this model, you make your preparation. And what is that model UPSC gives? It's PYQ, your previous year question. So what are the questions? So far, we've got it from world history. For the past 4 years in mains, we did not have any questions in world history. Hope you know that. So if you're not knowing it, just listen. So for the past, many students who cleared prelims now, they come and meet me. So I tell them, thorough your world history. Thorough your history, because it's GS paper 1. So they end up telling me that, ma'am, we are thorough with the first 4. Post-independence, hardly we get a question. World history, hardly we get. For the past 4 years, we've not got any questions. So what? What if you write, you get a question? There's something called law of the universe. Law of universe, it's called. When you do not study a particular topic, that will come in the exam. Have you felt it? So that's something there. That's something with everyone. Getting it, so automatically, when you start skipping something, what if they ask you? And again, when they ask you a particular question, you need to write it to clear the exam. So how will you write it? You should thorough the subject. So do not skip anything. Skipping is not a habit. It shouldn't be a habit. It shouldn't be a practice, because that's a very bad habit, particularly when you prepare this exam. So don't come and ask me, ma'am, UPSC has never asked it. Are you getting it? Then why do you study? Better don't study at all. Once you decide yourself to write this exam, give your 100%. Whether they ask, whether they do not ask, that's not our problem. Our problem is to complete the syllabus, thorough the syllabus. So that is what is about world history. So then what are we going to take as PYQ? The previous year questions are going to be 4 years before what UPSC has asked. We are going to touch that. Because 4 years before we have a pattern, and that pattern is already set. So we are going to move according to the pattern of PYQ. So the syllabus and PYQ should be handy. And these two are your key to study world history. So clear? And when you look at this GS paper 1, which is for 250 mark, what is there in GS paper 1? So GS paper 1 has got history, GS paper 1 has got geography, and GS paper 1 has got sociology, society. You're getting it, social issues. So when you take all of them, which is for 250 marks, 100 plus is history. Getting it? So almost. Getting it? We get 97. Are you getting it? We get 120. We get 125 mark, exactly half. So why to leave history when the subject is easy? That is what is my question. So don't fix anything in your mind thinking that I'm going to skip history. It's not my cup of tea. It's going to be boring. It's dry. Because as I told you, you have no choice. You have to study. So clear? So this is how we are going to see world history. So getting into world history. So I'm ignoring all these for time being, because I'm your world history teacher now. So let's start, and let me brief you about what is this world history. Getting it? So before getting into the classes, let me brief you about how are we going to perceive world history? Where do we begin world history? So how will be my teaching? What am I going to give you? So the first thing I teach, getting it? Let me explain you about how are we going to go with classes. Because it's been, after many years, many would have been coming to classes. Your education pattern might have been different. My education pattern was different. We all come from a mixed education background. Are you getting it? So you may have a habit of reading and studying, or I give you homework, you read a book and you memorize. So how is this preparation going to be? Number one, I explain you the concepts. So the first thing, listen to the classes. Getting it? I'll be writing. I write and teach. So you're going to listen to me. I explain, number one. Number two, at times in between, I make you to take running notes. Getting it? So when I write, you're going to write. I will tell you. So don't get a confusion. Ma'am, when you write, should I write? I would tell you, start writing. First listen, get your concepts clear. Then I would write. Then you are going to write. This is one pattern. The second pattern, there are some topics which are heavy. Heavy in the sense, See, the maximum part of your world history would be, you'll be answering it for a 10 mark, a 12 and a half mark, or worst case 15 mark. 15 mark. So you're not going to write world history for 25 marks, not at all. So your maximum stretch is going to be 15 marks. Let's take the minimum 10 mark. Let's take the maximum 15 mark. Are you getting it? If it's 10 mark, it is for one page, 100 words or 120 words. If it's for 15 marks, it's going to be 150 words, which is going to be 1.5 page. So your maximum output will be 1.5 page if I calculate it in page number, or 150 words. Ma'am, how am I going to write a big world history into 1.5 page? That's the smart work. So how do you customize it? Because Napoleon, let's take an example, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon goes on for pages. I give 40 pages for my optional kids to study French Revolution. My optional kids take 40 pages and they study, because why? Because Napoleon is a big mark in optional. Without Napoleon, there's no world history. So are you going to study the same 40 pages for GS? Not at all. So I'm going to give you max to max 8 pages. Are you getting it? So 40 becomes 8 for you. So you will be writing 8 pages of French Revolution. And imagine that 8 pages what I give you and what I would teach you, you're going to make it even more shorter. And you're not going to bring it to 1.5 page. Isn't it easy? No, it's not easy. I give you something big, because we all are used to what? Making big stories, writing paragraphs. In South, we say making vada. You can be very good in that. Taking this, writing it here, beating the bush again and again, making points repetitive. We are very good in that. But this exam is not for that. When I wrote my first mains, are you getting it? There was no we didn't have the fixed, pattern. The page limit was not there. You can get additional sheets. Are you getting it? As much as possible, you can get additional sheets. You write whatever you want. But who's there to sit and read all of them? So now UPSC has given you what? A space. So you have to write it according to the space. So you can't make your vada, jalebi. No, nothing. You have to customize your answer. And you have to meet the demand of the question. They ask you a question. Your answer should be according to the question. You write something. They ask something. How would you get marks? So it should come together. Getting it? And that is why classroom teaching is important. Because it's very big. And we are going to customize it and make it small. And you are going to customize it even more. So that 4 pages, you're going to make it to 1.5 page. Or the 8 pages, you're going to make it to 1.5 page. Or the worst case, 1 page. Which means what? You're going to cut all the extra ones. Ma'am, should I exactly replicate the class notes? Yes, you can. Because I will be dictating. There are some topics which are heavy, as I told you. And there are lots of dimensions towards that topic. But you as a general studies student need not worry about that. And all those are not required. Getting it? You need not write all of them. Then ma'am, what to write? What the teacher gives you, just write them alone. That is why I'm going to dictate some notes for you. So you're going to have a dictated notes with you. Getting it? And you'll start writing. Because mains is all about writing. It's not like you listen, you shake your head and understand, you go happy. The next day you come, you shake your heads, classes are fine, you go. 15th day, you open your notebook, nothing is there. What is the point? Getting it? After a month, you'll feel demotivated. You'll feel that you've lost touch with the subject. After 4 months, again when you take your notebook, if nothing is there, how will you study? Are you getting it? So this should be a combined effort. That is why teachers, we dictate. So I'm going to make you write with some topics. Clear? So it will be included of running notes plus dictation. So clear? That's one part. And from tomorrow, when you come to the class, I want you all to carry an atlas with you. Getting it? Bring your atlas, whatever atlas you have. Getting it? Oxford, Orient Longman. So whatever atlas. Getting it? Because I'm going to teach you about some places. Though I would show you those places there. But I want students, you to take your atlas and I would tell you the location. I want you to mark it in the atlas. Because when you mark it, you will see the country. You will see the place. And when I tell you the trade routes, Napoleon marched from Paris. He went to Egypt. So getting it? So when you open the map, you mark it in your atlas that from how did he cross the Mediterranean? How did he reach Egypt? So when you do it in your atlas, under the guidance of me, it will be easy for you. Are you getting it? Because world history needs some visualization. You need to visualize. Getting it? Suddenly when I say that, Napoleon went to Egypt. From where? Napoleon of France. But we all might have an illusion that from France he went to Egypt. But there would be some students who really would not know the route exactly. The Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, Constantinople. Have you heard these names? Getting it? Oxford. Getting it? Again, we say the Harvard University. When I touch about that, getting it? So when we study about New York, getting it? The American War of Independence came to an end at Yorktown. So where is it? Because it's not like India. We talk about cities like Delhi. We talk about cities like Mathura, Kannauj, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore. No, it's about world history. So when I say Ethiopia, are you getting it? When I say Fez, when I say Moroccan crisis, when I say Balkan War, when I say Bosnia, have you heard? You might have heard it. Are you getting Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Balkan states? Because many of us do not know what's Balkan states. Are you getting it? So you need to thorough them all. The first Balkan War, the second Balkan War, Romanian crisis, getting it? Ukraine, Crimean War, getting it? So all these. So when you study about these names, you should know the place where it is exactly. How these places are going to shape and how did this shape the entire history of the world. So bring your atlas tomorrow. So now I would tell you what is there in our syllabus. So start writing. First, let me brief you about our syllabus. So when you look at, start taking down, make a fresh heading, world history. I would tell you eventually what to read. Getting it? Yeah. When you look at world history, from where does our syllabus starts? See, actually, when you look at Indian history, we have ancient Indian history, medieval Indian history, modern Indian history. Getting it? So ancient, medieval, modern. Likewise, we have something called the ancient world, the medieval world, the modern world. So our syllabus starts with modern world history. So we do not have ancient and medieval world history. So be happy. Are you getting? We are going to have only modern world history. Where does our syllabus starts from? Our syllabus starts from 1750 AD and our syllabus ends with 1991 AD. This is our syllabus. First know the bracket. 1750 to 1991. So what happened in 1750? What is our first chapter? The first chapter, what are we going to study is Industrial Revolution. So this is our first chapter in our syllabus. So Industrial Revolution is the first chapter. But suddenly when I start with Industrial Revolution, you'll be like, ma'am, what's that? Are you getting what is Industrial Revolution? Suddenly, so without studying ancient India, medieval gets tougher. Without studying medieval Indian history, modern gets difficult. Because with the death of Aurangzeb, getting it, medieval India gets over. We start modern with the decline of Mughal Empire. And imagine I start modern India saying the Mughal Empire declined. You people are like, ma'am, what's Mughal Empire? I'm like, be quiet. World history, are you getting it? Modern India starts with decline only, right? Aurangzeb was one of the reason. You ask me, ma'am, why Aurangzeb is a reason? I'm telling you that's not there in the syllabus, right? You'll not understand. So history is a link. You need to know the previous event which took place. So I will be giving you a small prelude of how medieval world existed. If you know about the medieval world, what are the components which happened in medieval world? When you understand them, automatically it would be easy for me, it would be easy for you to understand Industrial Revolution. I teach every topic with the background because I believe in background. A topic when you start without a background, you will not understand. So getting it? So we'll be doing a small background and I will make you to write one page about the medieval world. So getting it? So that's a small background. So this is our first syllabus, first topic, Industrial Revolution, followed by the second chapter, the American Revolution. Getting it? So American, I'm not giving you any years so far because the moment I open it, I will give you the years. The second one is the American Revolution. So second one is the American Revolution. So what's America? Today we talk about America as a superpower. What happened to America? Who discovered America? Are you getting what happened to America? How many colonies were established in America? So what happened? Why did the fight start? Why did the Brits and the Americans fight? What were the causes for their fight? That is the causes of American Revolution, the course of the American Revolution, impact of American Revolution. What is aftermath? You need to know because all topic you can't study just like that. You need to know why. After American Revolution, what happened? Are you getting? The world's first written constitution was recorded. And America became a democracy. It became what? It started following the presidential form of government. That's the impact. So we will be touching upon all of them. So we take one topic, we're going to cover it throughout completely. So let UPSC ask anything about that particular topic. So you should be in a position to write an answer about the topic thoroughly. That's my intention, and that should be your intention as well. The moment we complete Industrial Revolution, let them ask anything. It's there in our syllabus. So you should be able to write anything which they ask about this particular topic. That should be your power of your revision. Getting it? That's why I tell you, don't skip anything. Getting it? This is our second topic, followed by the third one, the French Revolution. So we have three revolutions. The Industrial Revolution, that's a third. So I'm giving it in chronological order. So followed by the fourth one would be the two unifications. The two unifications, that is 4A. The two unification, that is unification of Italy and unification of Germany. So this is there in our syllabus. So unification of Italy and unification of Germany. We call that as the two great unifications. So it is there. These are all smaller ones, easier ones, very interesting ones. Because world history is going to be interesting because many of us do not know. Ma'am, was really Italy divided? Yes. Who divided Italy? Are you getting what happened to Italy? So to study Italy, we need to know the map. Getting it? Without knowing the place, you can't just assume where Italy is. How does Italy, we call Italy as a mistress of the Mediterranean Sea. So why do we call her? You need to know the location. Though I would show it to you all in the map, but I want you also to have a look in the atlas. So these two unifications are there, then followed by the next one, the First World War. The First World War. 1914 to 1918. So we have our First World War. So what do we have in our First World War? Are we going to study the entire World War thoroughly? No. There are only two components there in World War, causes and the impact. So ma'am, aren't you not going to teach all the details of World War? No, not at all. So don't expect, ma'am, I'm going to teach World War. No, it's World War. Getting it? What happened and what is the outcome? What is the Treaty of Versailles? What is the aftermath of World War? That's the significance of World War. So followed by when the World War took place, we had another revolution called the Russian Revolution. So we'll be discussing the Russian Revolution. And in this Russian Revolution, we would be touching about a character, a very big personality called Lenin. So getting it? So Lenin and the Bolshevik Revolution, or Russian Revolution and Lenin. So getting it? Because we are going to study about the concept of Soviet Union. Getting it? USSR. Getting it? And in the Russian Revolution, what were the reforms of Lenin? Because the Russian reforms were highly outstanding. And once we touch Lenin, plus we have another personality called Stalin. So I would be teaching you about Lenin and Stalin. So UPSC might ask you a question, because why? Stalin played a very crucial role in the Second World War. And Stalin played a very crucial role again in the Cold War. So getting it? So when we study Second World War, before touching the Second World War, we should know whom? Stalin. So I teach Lenin and Stalin the moment I touch Russian Revolution after the First World War. Though the topics are all connected. Because when the World War took place, Russia left the war. Getting it? So once I complete the World War, then I would teach you the background of Russian Revolution and what happened. Then we would be deciding the factor like, why did Russia leave the war? Then aftermath of Russian Revolution would be Lenin. Who's Lenin? What did Lenin do? Early life. What made Lenin so successful? Why did he come back to Russia? Why did he fight with the Mensheviks? How did he establish the Bolshevik Revolution? What is that war? Communism. So what is the civil war in Russia? What were the reforms of Lenin? Then death of Lenin. After the death of Lenin, what happened? Who were the contestants? Trotsky and Stalin. What happened to Trotsky? Who won the election? Who lost the election? Then Stalin. So we say Joseph Stalin and USSR. So we study about reforms of Stalin. What did Stalin do? Why do we call even today when we study about Russia, we say the Stalin cult. What is that Stalin cult? Why Stalin is venerated like that? How did Stalin take Russia or make Russia a global power? And how did Russia withstand the Second World War with the efforts of Stalin? So you should know Stalin in detail. So only then you'll be able to understand the country called Russia. Getting it? So how Russia grew bigger? Because we always associate Russia with what? The Soviet Union. USSR. I hope you know that. What's that U? What's that S? What's that S? What's that R? Who gave the name? USSR. Why did he give that name? Which year the term came? You need to know, right? Just like that, we can't study. So whenever you study something, you need to know everything. Particularly, again, I mark my words, pertaining to the syllabus. And don't you think when you know all of them, you gain knowledge? The history makes a man wise. So when you know history, you become a wise man. That's what the quote says. So you study history, you would know everything. And you'll be a knowledgeable person. Are you getting it? And you'll be headstrong. Why is it like this? And tomorrow you're going to be civil servants. What if you become an IFS officer? You work in a particular country, you'll know the history of that particular country, right? So this is the art of studying, and anything, knowledge is always priced high. If you are a knowledgeable person, you are seen high. Don't you think? Education always attracts, knowledge attracts, no? Beauty attracts or knowledge attracts? At 20 to 30, beauty attracts, ignore. You're preparing for UPSC, so what attracts? Knowledge does attract. Are you getting it? And in some way or the other, are you getting it? If you're a knowledgeable person, you're recognized, you're valued, you become very strong, and you become a confident person. Don't you think you can move? So you become one Wikipedia, imagine, not Wikipedia, because they write everything wrong. Are you getting? You become one Google. Getting it? You know things better. So you will be able to teach others. See, what is education? According to Ambedkar, when you study something, if you're able to process that something, and if you're able to teach someone that something, that is education. So understand, when you study something, are you able to teach that to someone? Yes. If the answer is yes, you're a knowledgeable person. You keep it to yourself. Knowledge is sharing. Share things, study. You should start sharing and studying so that you get the views of others. And then you put it together, you analyze yourself, and that is how education grows. Education multiplies. Knowledge doubles. So when you start thinking and studying about them, automatically what happens? And it's going to be the same, nothing new. As ma'am always says, it's not going to be a rocket science. Are you getting? We are not going to go into all the detail. Just the basics of what happened in a nutshell. So once we complete the Russian Revolution, the 7th chapter would be the world. The world after the First World War and before the Second World War. So I'm writing short forms. WW is World War. So the 7 chapters, world after the First World War. What happened after the world? What happened? How was the world? So we are going to touch about some countries. How did this country grow? What happened? Have you heard Nazism? Fascism? The rise of Hitler and the rise of Mussolini. So in this particular topic, we are going to study what? The rise of dictators. The rise of dictators. Who are dictators? What made Hitler to rise? So here we are going to touch about Hitler and Nazism, Benito Mussolini and fascism. Then Joseph Stalin and Soviet Russia. Already we would have done Stalin before. The previous topic, when I touch Russia, I would complete Stalin. So then we touch here. Getting it? So we study the rise of dictator. Who's a dictator? Are dictators born or are dictators made? What are the features of dictatorship? Why do we call a person a dictator? Getting it? What is autocracy? Getting it? What is totalitarianism? What is absolute monarchy? What is aristocracy? What is dictatorship? We need to know the differences. If you know the differences, automatically you'll know, oh, this is why Hitler is called a dictator. Oh, this is why Mussolini is a dictator. So there are certain theories for dictators. So we're going to study that under the topic, the rise of dictator. Because we all have a different notion about dictators. Whenever I start dictators, people would say, ma'am, why did Hitler do this? Because when you know the features of dictatorship, you will not ask me that question. Because all dictators follow a particular path. And then they frame rules. Nazi program, have you heard Hitler? Genocide, Holocaust, getting it, the trials, the Nuremberg trial, have you heard them? He killed the Jews, extermination of the Jews. Why? What was the background of that? Why did Germany have lots of Jews there? What was Hitler's problem with them? And whether Hitler really mistook them or it was a genuine one, we are going to touch them all. So in a very small way only, not everything in detail. So that detail is for optional students. Even for them, it's not in that much detail. Getting it, I just give them only a single page. Even for optionals, I give a single page only. The NASD program, we put it in one page. And imagine for you, it's going to be half a page only. So don't think, ma'am, will you teach everything? No, 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 no. Not that. So according to the exam, we are going to adjust it here and there. So it's going to be the world before, the first world, after the First World War, before. So it will be the year would be 1919, because the World War I came to an end in 1918. So getting it after the Paris Peace Conference, 1919, and the Second World War was in 1939. So the 20 years, what happened to the world is what we are going to see here. How did Germany become powerful in the 20 years? How was Italy? How was Japan? Have you heard about the Pearl Harbor incident? So to touch the Pearl Harbor incident, Hiroshima Nagasaki attack, because we need to know Japan, right? We need to know why Japan became a superpower of Asia. What were the circumstances which made Japan to defeat Russia? Because Russia, a big country, got defeated by Japan, a small nation. So it's called the Russo-Japanese War. So how could Japan defeat? So we'll be knowing it here. So once you know that here, now automatically you'll get an idea, oh, this is how countries were all there before the Second World War. So once you thorough this, if UPSC asks you the question, situation of the world during the Second World War, write everything. So this is what it's about. It's a kind of a big topic, but we're going to divide it, we're going to structure it and write it in an organized way. Then the next one would be the Second World War. So I'm not giving you years, 1939 to 1945. So what is the causes of the Second World War? What is the impact of the Second World War? So why do we call? See, there was one PYQ. How far do you agree that Germany was the reason for the two wars? So what was the reason for Germany? First World War, Germany was the reason, and the Second World War, who was the reason for the Second World War? Which country? Again, Germany. So UPSC asked a question about that only. So it's going to be easy. They mixed both the years, both the wars, and they asked a question. Can't you write them for 1.5 pages? You will know more. You're going to write it small. So it's going to be interesting again. So then after this, we are going to study the next part is the Cold War. What is the Cold War? Getting it? So Cold War happened exactly after the Second World War. And Cold War continued till 1991. So I told you our syllabus ends with 1991. So the first chapter, when I say 1750 here, it is Industrial Revolution. So this is our first chapter. 1991 is nothing but disintegration of USSR or disintegration of the Soviet Union. Our syllabus ends there. So getting it? So once you thorough your world history, your IR becomes easy. Are you getting? Your international relations become easy because already you would have a background of world history. You'll know what were the things which shaped the world. Why did Soviet Union break? So that topic comes where? In the Cold War. So in this Cold War, we have some stages. Getting it? You would have heard Cold War. It began exactly in 1945. It came to an end in 1991. So technically, this is our last topic in our syllabus, technically. Getting it? So here we have some stages. Say for example, stage number 1, we'll be touching about the Korean War. Have you heard? Korean War. Today, why North Korea and South Korea is fighting? But once upon a time, these two Koreas were one. It was one only. There was only a single Korea. Who divided them? What were the implications of USA and USSR? And today, why is Korea fighting? If you know the background here in Cold War called Korean War, you will understand why Korea is like this today. So it will be easy for your current affairs. Number 2, it will be easy for your IR. The second stage is the Suez Canal crisis. Have you heard? So what is Suez Canal? Who built it? So why did Nasser nationalize the canal? So why did Britain and France fight for the canal? So after that, what is the Suez War? Who are the participants of the Suez War? Getting how many countries participated? Which is the year of the Suez War? You need to know that. Then what is the aftermath of Suez Canal crisis? So to locate the Suez Canal, you need to have your atlas. Are you getting? Because when I tell you the route, you look at Egypt, and when I tell you the Aswan Dam, the canal and the route, you'll know the countries which are nearby the canal. So automatically, you'll have an upper hand. You'll know things better so that you don't bluff, so that you don't make your facts wrong, so that you don't say something else. Because people interpret world history in their own way. That's not right. That's wrong. So you need to always go with facts. Fact, 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 fact. How to remember fact? Memorize it again and again. How to memorize it? Revise every day. How to revise every day? Sit and study. How to study? Yeah, after class, come and ask me. I'll tell you how to study. Are you getting it? You need to study because that's why you're here. So it's a continuous effort. It's not going to be suddenly you become Neil Armstrong, you climb baby steps. You take small steps and you reach. That can never happen. So don't expect that you'll read once. That can never happen. You need to work hard. And you need to work hard with smart effort. Smart work is something which is required here. Be smart. And how to be smart? When you start studying, you'll automatically become smart. So getting it? So that is what we're going to do. The third stage would be the Cuban Missile Crisis. Have you heard that? Fidel Castro, General Batista. So Cuba, getting it? Why did America control Cuban sugar factories? Getting it? So what made Castro to establish communism at Cuba? So why did Castro tie up with USSR? And why Cuba became a communist country? And what is that missile war? What's Bay of Pigs? Getting it? When did the war took place? What did America do? What did USSR do? That's Cuban Missile Crisis. That's the third stage. The fourth one we touch is about the Vietnam War. Have you heard Ho Chi Minh? Are you getting the Vietnam War? So where's Vietnam? Are you getting how many? Are you getting it? How did Indochina become Vietnam? So when was Vietnam as a country born? Who were the leaders of Vietnam? What were the parties of Vietnam? And which two nations went to Vietnam? And how did they divide Vietnam in the 17th parallel? What did UNO do? Because after the World War II, we have the establishment of UNO. Are you getting? UNO was born in 1945 in the middle of the World War. So I'll be giving you that point. So what did UNO do? UNO is a topic which is in your IR. So getting it, ma? So when you thorough your IR, I don't teach the details of UN, but I give you the basics of UN. What is UN? Headquarters. What are the allied features of UN? What are the pros of UN? What is the cons of UN? What did UN do? Success of UN. Are you getting it? Because when you do your post-independence, Kashmir issue was taken to the UN. I think every time people go to UN, Russia-Ukraine war, UN. So is UN really powerful? You have to say yes only. Are you getting it? So what are the reforms of UN? In a very small nutshell, I would be briefing it so that you get an idea about UN. So the moment we go here, what did the UN do when the Cold War was happening? So why did UN not back up? Which means who's backing up UN? You need to know that. So then when did the Vietnam War come to an end? So the end of the war, was Vietnam really divided or was Vietnam united? Because they cut Korea into two. The Cold War cut Korea into two, North and South Korea. But Vietnam, though it was divided as North and South, it was not cut. It was merged. Today we have only one Vietnam. So what is the aftermath of that? That's a stage number 4. And the fifth stage in Cold War is the disintegration of Soviet Union. What are the 15 states? We call them as satellite states of USSR. Have you heard Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Belarus? Have you heard? So don't worry. If you've not heard, don't worry. I'm going to teach you. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. So likewise, you need to know them. Ma'am, should I know all the 15? Yes. So you can't pick one because why? It's USSR. What are those 15 states collectively called as what? USSR. It's better to learn. And always be on the safer side. Be smart. I need to be safe. I need to be smart. I need to write the paper. I need to answer everything. Which means you have to study. So it comes with days. And then it goes with months. So this should be your preparation. Don't fear. I could see suddenly some faces are changing. 15 states? Come on, ma. You have lots of paper to study. Getting it? And this exam. Asia's toughest exam. But I tell you, if you have good knowledge, you clear the exam. Many students have cleared it in their first attempt. I think you would know it. And this time, though the prelims was tough, many students have cleared. Are you getting it? Smart work. UPSC is now, what is it? They've dropped up the elimination pattern. Because I used to shout. Because 10 years I used to scream, shout. I'm a little bit strict teacher. I shout, I scold. Getting when you don't write, you'll see me. Eventually, you'll get to know me. Getting it? So when first class, right? I'm a little bit kind. Getting it? So, I am. Because when you don't write, I get angry. Are you getting? Because you sit here for that. So I want you to write. I don't encourage students who are sitting just like that. Leave. You have to write. You have to. When you sit in my class, you have to write. You listen, have to. Are you getting, ma'am? What if I don't listen? God bless you. Are you getting it? So you have to write. So when you start doing it consistently, this becomes easier. So don't leave anything. So go with the teacher, getting it, whatever they give you. And I'll be giving you one reference material to study. Getting, I'm not going to tell you now. Don't worry. The moment we start, then a homework. Then the next day class, a homework. So every day I'm going to give you homework. Getting it? I want you to take that material and then read the material and come. So in between, I give handouts. Getting, there are some topics which requires only briefing. I brief the topic, you will have the gist, running notes, like how I write. You're going to write, you'll have the gist. But the reading part, many books have complicated it. So I will be providing you a handout. So you'll take the handout. We'll give you a Xerox copy of the handout. You're going to keep that handout and you're going to study that. So whatever handouts I give you, keep it safe. So your class notes, your running notes, the handouts, and the book, what I'm going to tell you to read. So there are 4 things collectively. Beyond this, nothing is required. Getting it? Then after completion of each topic, I'm going to give you some questions. It's called the practice question. So after teaching it, you're going to write it. I'm going to teach you how to write. So don't worry. Ma'am, how will I write? I'm going to teach you. So let me teach you how. Let me go with some topics. So once we complete topics, only I can teach you write. Because you should have something in your head to write. So let's complete Industrial Revolution, then you write. Let's complete American Revolution, then you write. So at the end of the class, I give you some questions. So you're going to go home. You're going to revise the book, what I'm going to give you. You're going to study it. Then you're going to take a piece of paper, a sheet. You're going to write the question and you're going to give it to me. I'm going to correct it and give it to you back with the feedback, how to write, how to improve yourself, because I need to see your Harappan script. Are you getting? I need to know your handwriting, because handwriting plays an important role. It should be legible. When you start writing it, you'll get the flow of writing. Writing doesn't come all of a sudden. Today, there are many students who've cleared prelims, but honestly, they come to me. Even yesterday, I was sharing it in one of my optional batch. I was just telling the same thing. Yesterday morning, some students came to me who've cleared prelims, and they were my history optional kids only. So they came, they write everything good, very good in concepts. I was just asking them, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? Tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. They were like very strong because I know them as a student. The moment I told them, okay, you're going to take your test, they were like, ma'am, I'm not knowing how to start. Starting trouble. What is the point? When you do not know to write, what is the point? You know everything in your head. It means it's not an oral exam. You go sit and you start telling Alauddin Khilji's market reform, Gandhi's Dandi March, Vietnam War, because Indians, we are very good in speaking. I think we all are very good in speaking. Getting it, the moment we start speaking, it goes. But writing, because there's a problem, how to start. Ma'am, what to write? Is it right? Is it correct what I've written? We always have that ambiguity. So that is what, you have to break that. How to break it? Write every day. It's not like you clear your prelims and you start writing. You start writing from now only. Your day of writing starts from today. Start writing. Write something. Whatever the teacher gives you, start writing. So you're going to do that with me also. So you submit it to me, you get it checked, that's your choice. I'm not going to force you. But my duty, I give you a question. My duty, I give you the model answer. My duty, I teach you how to write. Getting it particularly world history. So that the moment you get a world history question, you start writing. So I'm getting prepared by making you prepared for your mains, because world history is a mains topic. So keep that in mind. So these are the 5 stages. With this, particularly this part gets completed. You can write that here. What are the 5 stages? The first one is the Korean War. The second one, because you need to know that. Getting the second one is the Suez Canal crisis. The third one is the Cuban Missile Crisis. The fourth one, Vietnam War, because Vietnam War comes to an end later. And the last one is the disintegration of Soviet Union. First, know what is there in the syllabus. Disintegration of Soviet Union or disintegration of USSR. So getting it? So it comes to an end where? 1991. We come to an end there. Clear, ma? So these are the 5 elements. We would be touching it in Cold War. Then the next one. What are we going to study? What are the topics we are going to study? Have you written? Write it. Shall we? The next one, we are going to touch about a country called China. Getting it? So I'm not going to teach. See, my way of teaching is different. Getting it? I don't mix everything here. When I don't mix it because you'll get confused. I was a student, so I know the student's mind. I know how a student's mind will react because I was also once upon a time sitting there. Somewhere here I was also sitting. I know. First, we'll be so motivated. We'll be like, I've become civil servant. We'll be, and keep up your spirits high. Keep your spirits high. Always be energetic. Always be positive. Some faces I could see. Why are you teaching, ma'am? Are you getting it? I'm like, why am I sitting? Ma, don't give me those looks, please. Are you getting? Some looks are depressing me. Are you getting? Some of you, when I look at you, you all are like, are you getting it? Please. No, no. Why? See, your thoughts are so powerful. We are very strong. We are so powerful. You want something in life? You've come here for that. Work for that something. You become that something. Trust me, believe me, your thoughts should be very strong. Be positive, na? First smile. What is it going to give? I saw some students when I was climbing. I just came here because this building I'm coming for the first time. So when I was climbing, I saw some students. They were like, are you getting? I'm like, why do you stare at me? Am I your relative? I'm your teacher. Smile, na? Say good morning or say happy morning, or at least don't speak, just smile, or at least don't stare. Are you getting? Some students, because when I start staring, imagine what will happen to you. Are you getting it? You 100, 200 stare at me. It's okay. I'm a teacher. I'm like, it's okay. Fine. But imagine when I stare at you. Are you getting? It's like give and take. You give, I give. So what you give, I'll give you the same. So some are like, why are you come? Are you gonna teach? Early morning, why? Are you getting it? Won't you cancel? Are you getting? Some are like looking at me as if you're allergic to me. Are you getting it? No, no, no. Relax, relax. You're in the right hands. You're in the right path. You're gonna do good things. You're gonna clear. Have that positivity. Have that positivity. So don't think, will I clear? No, 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 no. Don't be negative. Negativity kills you. Negativity will suppress you. Negativity will not allow you to grow. Be positive. The world is so big. If you believe in God, keep up your prayers. If you don't believe in God, universe is always there for atheists. People who don't believe in God, whatever you believe or don't believe, I don't bother. Are you getting whatever it is? Because people who don't believe in God, they believe in universe, they believe in nature, they call it as science. So let your science, your nature, the universe help you. People who believe in God, divine intervention is always there because I believe in God. I always believe in God. That's my personal belief. So why am I taking your class? Maybe it was a divine call. I never expected till yesterday. I didn't know I was coming here. Are you getting? I was trying to push you only. Are you getting it? I was trying to push it to others only till yesterday. But then I thought, it's okay. 15 classes, come let me move. There are some kids who are really wanting to study something. And then I thought, okay, it's okay. It's my subject. It's my topic. It's me. Okay, early morning. So let's move. So that's why. So I always call it what? I put my leg into a batch. So I have to complete the batch. That's my commitment. So I thought, okay, let me come. So you and me are going to be together for the next 15 classes. So 15 classes, imagine 8 o'clock, 7:30 when I come, looking at me like this. Come on, ma, doesn't work. So be happy. 2.5 hours, it's going to be big. Maybe today's our first class. I'm making it a little bit light. So you know me, I know you. We make it kind of relaxed because I believe in vibes. I believe in vibe. The moment I enter class, I need to be happy, right? The teacher is unhappy. Imagine what will happen. Industrial Revolution. 1750. Imagine I keep my face like this teaching born in Britain. Come on, right. How will you feel? That's what you people are giving me that only. Some are giving me that feel only. Why are you here? Come on, man. No, it's okay. We all have different setup in life. We all come from a different background. We all come from a different, ecosystem. We all come from different culture. Culturally, economically, socially, we all are different. And we all have different problems also. Our karma bags are different. Some have got small karma bag, medium size, XL, double XL. It's okay, leave your bag outside. 2.5 hours study. Leave everything out. If you take your problems, everything in class, you can't study. What will Appa think? What will Amma think? Are you getting it? Did I switch off the stove? Imagine I'm taking world history. I'm like, did I switch off the stove? Oh, did I keep milk for my baby and come? Oh, did I lock the door? Imagine if I teach, what will happen to life? No. When you are giving your 100% in a particular time, give your 100%. This 2.5 hours is for me. For my 2.5 hours is for you only. So here, sitting with you, I'm giving my 100% to you. Getting the moment I leave, then I'll think, oh, achacho, I didn't lock the door, I run. Oh, I didn't switch off the stove, I run. But here it's for you. So I want you also to have that. Leave everything apart. Who's not got problem in life? Tell me. Who has not got problem in life? Everyone has got problem according to their own capacity, according to their own level. We all have. I hear your problem, I will run. You hear my problem, you'll go to Tamil Nadu. Are you getting it? You'll run faster. So everywhere it's the same. So are you getting it? So we all make sure that life keeps going. That's the law of the universe, because we're born here. We are here. And don't take the depression. I asked one student, do you believe in rebirth? He said no. So I said, do you want to be born again? He said no. In one of the ancient classes, because rebirth, we teach transmigration of soul. I said, do you want to be born again? He said no. I'm like, why? No, ma'am. If I'm born again, I don't want to take UPSC. I'm like, come on. What is this? Are you getting? I was taken aback. Oh, you do not want to be born again because you're going to write UPSC? Is UPSC going to, is this distressing you so much? No, look at a beautiful life, so young, in 20s to 30s, thinking about rebirth and talking to me philosophy. Talking philosophy to a philosophy teacher. Are you getting it? Because I know Buddhism, I know Jainism, I know Sikhism. I'm a history teacher. Come on, I would know philosophies, Vedic philosophies. I have a big grinder. You get 15 years, I grind that only. Getting it? And I see life also like that. And talking philosophy to me. Life is suffering, ma'am, to me. Are you getting it? Are you get this? Life is full of mess, ma'am. Ma'am, this, ma'am. I'm like, Kanna, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay, na? The world can wait. It's okay. First thing, if you are positive, you'll start writing well. You'll start studying well. Try, if you're negative, you can't write anything. I bet, I vouch. So first, keep everything away. 15 classes. I'm not telling it only for my classes. Let the next teacher also be happy. Say, you are my inspiration. My students are always my inspiration. I believe in human connect. I connect with my students. I'm friendly with my students. If you smile, I smile. If you don't smile also, I smile. But if you don't give any positivity and inspiration to me, where will I take inspiration to teach? Then I'll be teaching like, as I gave you a small demo. Getting it? So that is what. So early morning you wake up. We wake up early morning to come to sit this class because the whole world is sleeping. 8 o'clock you're there with me. Which means what you have to do? You have to be positive. So come sit with happy mind and sit with a feel that you're going to study something new. You're going to study something great. You're going to study something where you're going to write an answer. This mentality is something which is required. So clear? Now the next one, China. So I don't connect, when I teach China, we start China from the beginning. I teach China at one go. So what is China? Are you getting it? So how did China become a global power? So how was China in the First World War? Because when I teach this subtopic, already First World War would have been completed. Already Second World War is over. So then I touch China. But in those wars, I would link China. Just say China participated. China was an allied power. But when I touch China here, we'll do the detail. Getting China in the First World War, China in the Second World War. Who was Sun Yat-sen? Have you heard? Who was Mao? Have you heard Mao? So what is Communist China? What is Kuomintang Party KMT? What is CCP, Communist Party of China? Then what happened to China? Have you heard about the two China? PRC and ROC, People's Republic of China, Republic of China, Taiwan. Have you heard? There were some two China. So what's that? So why do we have the two China? Which China signed UN? Getting it? So who has the, the veto power in the UN? So we'll be touching all of them here. And in 1949, we have what? The Chinese Revolution. So what is Chinese Revolution? Because we studied about what? The American, the Russian, the French, industrial, Chinese Revolution. So what happened in Chinese Revolution? First, what's a revolution? So when you understand them, with 1991, we end China. Our syllabus gets over in 1991 only. So first put it in your head. So beyond that, it's your IR. So before that, it's your world history. So your world history and IR is linked together. Then we have the next one. We have is Africa. Africa. Ma'am, are we going to study the entire Africa? No, not at all. There are 53 nations in the African continent. 53. So don't think, ma'am, am I going to study all the 53? No. We are going to prefer particularly which Africa? South Africa. So South Africa. How was South Africa? How was South Africa colonized? Who were the mother country, like how Britain colonized us? Who were the colonial masters of South Africa? Have you heard Boer's War? Boer. Who were the Boers? Boers were Dutch settlers. So why did the Dutch go and settle at South Africa? Then how did Britain occupy South Africa? How did Britain develop South Africa? What were the rules Britain imposed in South Africa? Have you heard Gandhi was at South Africa? Getting it? Gandhi was there. Gandhi learned the art of Satyagraha only at South Africa. Getting it, ma? The 24 years of stay there in South Africa made Gandhi. Getting it? So we know that Gandhi fought for the Britishers there. Initially he was pro. Later he became anti there. Getting it? So what are the laws which was there in South Africa? Then what happened? In South Africa, we have a topic called apartheid. So what is apartheid? The racial discrimination. Getting it? And who is Nelson Mandela? Who is Nelson Mandela? So Nelson Mandela and apartheid. So how did the Africans win over the colonizers? Then later, how did they become gradually independent? So when we touch, that's it. So don't think, as I told you, in optionals, we do South Africa. But generally when we say Africa, not Namibia, Colombia, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Kenya. No. We are not going to do all of them. It's only South Africa. And what is that loss? So because why do we call African nations as a third world? Don't you think? We call them as a third world. So why third world? Then why we call them yet they are developing? Though the cities and the states there look so beautiful, modified, westernized. So what is Africa? What are the tribal policies? So all that at one go we'll be doing. So don't think it's going to be tough. We're going to do it in a structured way. Africa background. When was Africa discovered? What are the countries in Africa? Then we move on to South Africa for colonization. Then their nationalism, apartheid, their independence. Hope you're getting it. So we're going to do it in a structured way. So this we'll do. That's the 11th chapter. Clear? These are the tiny ones. With this, our syllabus gets over. But these are the extra ones, we touch it up. Then we do the next one. That is Southeast Asia. I write it short form. Southeast Asia. So Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, getting it? We'll be touching about Southeast Asia and its colonization and decolonization. Colonization and decolonization. So here in Southeast Asia, I'm just going to brief you about some countries here. Ceylon. So how is Ceylon called today? Sri Lanka. Getting it, Ceylon? Then we have Malaysia. Malaysia and Singapore together. Already we would have done Vietnam. Vietnam War. I would have touched Vietnam there. Then coming on to Thailand. Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Have you heard them, ma? Cambodia. Then we move on to Indonesia. The Java and Sumatra Islands. Colonization. When was Indonesia colonized? Small bit. Don't worry, nothing in detail. Again, but you should know. So to learn Southeast Asia has got 9 nations, 9 countries. But look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Philippines is there, but we are not going to touch it. Getting it? So we are going to study only them. But I will give you a small nutshell. So we'll be locating all of them in the map. Getting it? You need to know where is Cambodia, where is Laos, why Korea. Korea is already there. So we would have done it in the Korean War. So this is about the Southeast Asian topic, a very small topic. It is called colonization and decolonization. This is there in our syllabus. So these are the overall topics. I made it to 12. I told you 15 because I split it up into 2. So I thought I'll put all of them together. This is our syllabus. This is our syllabus. If you thorough these 12 chapters, then I say 15 because I cut them into 2. Getting it? So these are the overall syllabus. If you thorough this, Japan, we don't do it separately. We do it with Industrial Revolution. Because I'll be teaching you Japan because we have the Russo-Japanese War. And how did Japan? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So before teaching the Second World War, I would give you a prelude of Japan. All countries, you will get a small prelude. How the country is, where the country is located. You'll be seeing the country in the atlas. I'll give a small background of that country. Then we'll start going with the topics and we'll link it with the syllabus. So once you know these 12 topics, getting it, your world history knowledge would be thorough. You'll be a master of world history. Let UPSC ask anything. You should be in a position to answer what they ask. Yeah. So any doubts, anything you wanted to ask me, let me know. I've just given you the syllabus. Yeah. Clear? All clear? Fine. Perfect. Shall we move on with the next part? Yeah. the medieval world. Getting it? So if you look at a small background, this is a topic. You need to understand this topic first. Getting it? Nothing. You're not gonna write anything. I'm gonna dictate this part. Yes. You can sit. South Asia. South Asia, because Britain colonized them. Getting it? So when we say colonization and decolonization, Asia is also included. So known as South Asia. It's not with Southeast. I've written it there so that we do it together. Colonization and decolonization. Clear? Yeah. Now, anything else, ma? Yeah. Not in detail. We don't have them. That's your IR. Philosophies in the sense you're talking about socialism. That we'll be doing it in what? The French Revolution. When I touch French Revolution, we'll be doing Montesquieu, Voltaire, Rousseau. So when we touch American Revolution, we'll be doing Samuel Adams there. So then and there we'll touch it. So I don't do it separately, because when I cut it separately, you'll not understand. So when I teach Hitler, I'll teach Nazism there. Don't separate it, because you should know where a particular philosophy applies. So when you do it then and there, when I teach colonialism, what is colonization? I teach it when we touch the topic colonialism. What is imperialism? What is capitalism? I'm going to give it now. What is mercantilism? That we'll be doing it. In a very small nutshell, just understand. We'll do it then and there, not separately. Clear? Now, a small background of medieval world. As I told you, history of the world is divided into three parts. Ancient world history, medieval world history, modern world history. So when you look at this medieval world, if you look at the overall world, getting it? There are certain things which determined world history. So now, what is this medieval world? When you look at the year, we start the medieval year with 476 AD and we end it with 1453. Getting it? So now what happened? A small understanding, just try to visualize. The Greco-Roman kingdom. Getting it? You all know the Greco-Roman kingdom? The Greece. Today's Italy, today's Greece, today's Turkey. So I'll be making you see it tomorrow with the atlas properly. So getting it now, just try to visualize. So this medieval world was dominated by the Turks. Getting it? The Turks particularly. And there was something called the Roman Empire. Just a small background I'm giving. The Roman Empire. Getting it? So this Roman Empire was a very strong empire of the world. We know that. A very, very strong empire. Initially, it was called the Greco-Roman Empire. Now, what happened? This Roman Empire, it got divided into two. It fell. Fall of the Roman Empire. When Roman Empire fell and broke, it got divided into two as Western Roman Empire and Eastern Roman Empire. The world got divided. So Roman Empire broke. And this Western Roman Empire, the capital was Rome. For the Eastern Roman Empire, the capital was Constantinople. So this Western Roman Empire was dominated by the Pope. Pope, a religious leader, head of Christianity. So he was dominating the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire was under the control of the bishops. Getting it? Now what happened? These two. So this Eastern Roman Empire had another name called as the Byzantine Empire. Getting it? The another name is called the Byzantine Empire. Now what happened? This Constantinople, it became a very important trade route. So it is in the hub. When you look at Turkey, Turkey is the only country which shared borders with Asia, shared borders with Europe, shared borders with Africa. So all the three continents were there touching. Are you getting? Turkey was touching all the three continents. Turkey was so big. It's not today's Turkey. Getting it? So after the war, Turkey became very small. With the Treaty of Severus, Turkey became very small. But then Turkey, are you getting? It was spread across. So this Turkey, are you getting it? Was controlled by the Byzantine Empire with its capital at Constantinople. So it was a very rich trading route. So gradually what happened with the birth of Islam? With the birth of Islam, the Turks became strong warriors. The Turks became strong. Are you getting it? They established a very strong force actually. So now gradually what happened in the medieval world, there was something called the Crusades. Something called the Crusades took place. So what is a crusade? Crusade is a religious war which took place between the Christian world and the Islamic world. They started fighting. Now, why was the fight for? Number one, the fight was for trade. Are you getting it? Particularly, who is going to dominate all the trading routes? Are the Christians going to dominate it, or are the Muslims going to dominate it? Was a fight between the two worlds. Since this Byzantine Empire was very big, are you getting it? They were controlling Constantinople. Now in 1453, have you heard fall of Constantinople? So this Constantinople fell. And automatically what happened? The Ottoman Empire was established. Have you heard? The Ottoman Empire, the Turks from Central Asia, they came and they occupied this part and they broke the entire system. And in 1453, the fall of Byzantine Empire took place. With this, what happened? The medieval world got transformed. Now the entire world, particularly the middle world, is under the control of the Turks. Now what happened? When Islam started taking its root, are you getting it? There was a small setback for Christianity because they are in touch. They're very close by. There was a setback for Christianity. So these Turks started taking religion as a tool for their economic development. Getting it? So they became traders. That's why the Arab traders, the Persian traders, and the Turkish traders became so strong and they started controlling the entire route. So at this point of time, what happened? Since the Arabs and the Turks and the Persians started controlling all the trading activity, it was very much compulsory for all the traders to keep themselves in touch with whom? These Islamic or Muslim traders. That's why they all became traders. So when this was happening in the medieval world, particularly here, what happened? The first prospect was what? These Muslim traders became a contact between the Western and the Eastern world. So there was a trade contact between the Western and the Eastern world. So with these trade contact, don't you think there would be a cultural evolution? The Islamic culture will go to Europe. The Christianity culture will come to the East, don't you think? So there was a cultural transformation which took place here. So when you look at Europe, at this point of time, there was something called the Renaissance. Getting it? So Renaissance, the term Renaissance, it means rebirth. All the old values, are you getting it? It was all transformed into a new set of values. So new elements were born. So Renaissance entered in the field of literature. Lots of books were written. We call that as an age of reason. Man started thinking. Rationality entered. See, initially, it was like, I'll give you a small example. Why is it raining? So getting it? It is raining because act of God. It's because of Jesus. Will you believe it? In India, there was something. Why is it raining? Lord Indra is happy. Are you getting it? Will you believe that? Are you getting it? No. So initially what happened? Everything was an act of God. But now what happened? Man started thinking. Scientific knowledge started entering his mind. We call that as an age of reason. So man started entering the age of reason. He started questioning everything. So Renaissance, with the age of reason, man started developing his scientific knowledge. It is raining because there is something called the cloud. Are you getting rain-bearing clouds? Are you getting clouds are the reason? So man started questioning everything. And gradually what happened? There was a concept called humanism. Humanism grew. See, initially with crusades, man was a barbaric animal. People started killing each other so brutally. No ethics, no value, nothing. In the name of God, people started to kill each other. But now what happened? With Renaissance, with the age of reason, a new concept called humanism. What is humanism? In Indian history, we call the concept of dharma. Are you getting it? Humanism. So I started seeing the human values much better than religion, than God. So are you getting it? If a poor man smiles, you can see God in his face. Have you heard? Are you getting? You could see God in a poor man's face. Which means what? I am a humane person. When someone is suffering, I take the pain to myself. So these concepts started coming. This is where the role of philosophers entered. So are you getting it? And which country was the mother of Renaissance? There was a country called Italy. Italy gave birth to Renaissance. Have you heard Leonardo da Vinci? Great painters like Raphael, Michelangelo. So all of them took painting to a next step. Then there were lots of literature experts. They started taking writing to the next level with Age of Reason and with humanism. Then comes the concept of thinking. Have you heard Martin Luther? Getting it? Nothing is an act of God. Everything is science. God supports you. So Martin Luther King, he started protesting against the Catholic religion. Since he started protesting, what happened? Protestant movement started entering Europe. So now people started thinking. Christianity got divided into two, Catholic religion and Protestant religion. Catholic religion was giving more importance to it. It was orthodox. I'm not talking about today. It was highly orthodox. Everything act of God. Everything under the Pope, Catholic, Orthodox. But when you come to Protestantism, they were like, God is there, but everything is science. Getting it? So why is the world? The world is round. When Galileo said the world is round, what happened to Galileo? He was killed. He was assassinated. Getting it? Why? Because the Catholics movement was very strong. They didn't allow people to think beyond. But after Martin Luther King, when he started giving this Protestantist ideas, people started thinking. So getting it? Renaissance, Age of Reason, intellectual movement, humanism, all these are coming. So gradually, this started spreading in the medieval Europe, particularly medieval world. When all these started coming, what happened? Man started discovering. He started entertaining what? Discoveries. And we call this as what discovery? Geographical discovery. Exploration for new route. I wanted a new route. And there was a country called Portugal. So Portugal started encouraging all the people, getting it, telling that you go explore new land, explore new route. Why? The Arabs were controlling the entire trade route. Getting it? So goods will come from Europe, it will go to Arab. Arabs were middlemen, they were the brokers, they were the agents. They will take all the good, then they will pass it on to the Eastern world. Are you getting it? So now what happened? Routes were all controlled by the Islamic traders. And trade was very high. The tax system was very high. When all these were there, what happened? Europe was disturbed. And don't you think if you cut the world into two, as the Western world and the Eastern world, which is more rich in resources? Eastern world. East is good in resources. Look at India. Look at Asia. Asia, Southeast Asia are known for their resources. When I talk about resources, I'm not talking about the financial resources. We are talking about the wealth. We are talking about the mineral deposits. And we are talking about the value system. Don't you think? The West was fighting. East was growing. The West was developing. East was already developed. Look at the period 1453, when the fall of Byzantine Empire took place, and when the Ottoman Empire was about to pick up in 1453, who was there in India? Which kingdom ruled India in 1453? It was the Delhi Sultanate. Have you heard? The slave, the Khilji, the Tughlaq, the Sayyid, and the Lodi dynasty. The Delhi Sultanates were ruling India. Do you think they were smaller kingdom or bigger kingdom? They were bigger one. And all of them were so powerful. India was a rich land then. Getting it? And you look at Southeast Asia, the same time Southeast Asia was developing. Thailand was called as the Sri Vijaya Kingdom, was one of the superpower of Southeast Asia then. So Asia was already rich. Asia has already established herself. And now Asia is known for her spices. Indonesia, the spice market of the world, controlled all the spice trade, plus India. Getting it? So when all these were happening, Europe wanted spices. And Europe wanted particularly which spice? Pepper. So pepper was much in demand. Pepper and cardamom was always on demand in the European market. So who controlled all of them? It was the Arabs. It was the Turk. So how do you take pepper and cardamom from them? Because they don't allow you to take it. If you want to buy it from them, you have to pay them. And they were like, making the product more expensive. So what happened? Europe started thinking, Because now people got to know about the ocean. People got to know that the world is in a geoid shape. It's round. You can circumnavigate the world. Initially, people thought the world was flat. World was flat. When Alexander came to India, Alexander defeated Porus. When he entered India, Alexander's mind was the world was flat. He came from Macedonia. He attacked Egypt. He attacked the Persian kingdom. He came to the banks of river Indus, defeated Porus. In the Battle of Jhelum, Hydas Pass, defeated. He was about to defeat Magadha. But Alexander had some other issues. He left, went back. He didn't come to Southeast Asia. And what is the Greek record saying? Once Alexander goes to Southeast Asia, he'll make a U-turn. Then he'll go to Macedonia. Macedonia, Southeast Asia. Because Alexander didn't have that concept. Because what? Ancient and medieval world never had that thought. So only after the global theory, geographical theories entered, people thought that, okay, you can circumnavigate. That comes with reason. Are you getting it? Then geographical discoveries. Countries are allowing nations saying, go, go. Portuguese is telling, go find island, go find route. So that is why, have you heard? Vasco da Gama in 1498, getting it? Set a voyage to find a sea route to India. So your modern India starts there, getting it? That's why we say Christopher Columbus in 1491 discovered America. We don't say US, it's America then. Getting it? So likewise we say Bartholomew Dias. He actually discovered the Cape of Good Hope. Cape Town, Africa, Cape Town. So likewise we have, again, Magellan. He circumnavigated the world. So likewise what happened? Theories started coming. And now countries are moving and finding what? Land. And whenever you find a new land, we call that as what? The age of geographical discovery. And don't you think, when I go and discover a particular land, I tend to colonize. So what begins? Colonialism begins. So what is colonialism? I travel overseas, I leave my country, I cross the sea and I go to a new nation or a state. I take control of that state. I exploit that state economically. It's called colonialism. Economic exploitation is called colonialism. And don't you think this colonialism will gradually give birth to imperialism? Getting it? What is imperialism? I control. I put my political thought on your country. You have to listen to me. I am your head. So don't you think Britain was our colonial master? Later British what? They started imposing their imperialistic policy. That's why we say British imperialism. So all these starts coming. And getting it? And trade. Whenever a concept of trade enters, what do we call that? We call it as policy of mercantilism. We call it as a policy of mercantilism. Merchant. So you start trading. So the concept of mercantilism entered. These all, what all I've written it here in this blue. Getting it? So this all started coming up in the medieval world. If you know this background only, our industrial revolution will take a shape. Because suddenly I can't say Britain gave birth to industrial revolution. Industrial revolution was born because of that. No. You need to know them in an order, just a small understanding of what happened in the medieval world. So when we write it in a small paragraph, small one, because why? Books are extensive for this particular topic. You have lots of information. You're bombarded with information for this topic. So how to customize it and write it is what we are going to just write them on. So then what happened automatically? What happened? The entire trade route got connected. Then the world is entering a very different shape. So all countries, on seeing this, they started establishing the form of government, which we call it as what? The age of where monarchies were established, strong monarchy. So now what happened when all these confusions were happening in Europe? Now countries are thinking that I have to form a stable government. Let me be very strong. That's why we say strong monarchies were established. Britain, Austria-Hungary, getting it, Prussia, that is Germany, Italy, France, everyone started making strong governments. Why? When a strong government is there, a country can move on with all the policies. Let it be political, economic, social, and religious. So all these will get under control. Because why? The whole world was dominated by kings. Don't you think? The whole world was ruled by kings and queens, right? So monarchy was a form of government of the world. Later only different forms started coming up. So when traders come, mercantilism will enter. When mercantilism enters, don't you think it will give birth to a new concept called capitalism? Getting it? So all these are small, small concepts which entered here. So if you understand this part, our next part would be easy. Getting it? Don't get into all the detail. We'll start writing it in a small way. So shall we write? Take down. Make a heading. The medieval world. 476 to 1453 AD. So just start writing. I'm dictating. The medieval world. The medieval world was an age where a lot of new developments took place. Pertaining to political, economic, social, and religious developments. From ancient, full stop, religious development. Underline political, economic, social, religious. From ancient times, there was always a demand. For the Eastern goods. Particularly, there was always a demand for Eastern world goods. Particularly for silk, spices and timber. There was a demand from the Eastern world, particularly for spices, timber and silk. The West was always searching roots. And tried to establish trade contacts with the East. Eastern world. The Silk Route paved way for it. Underline Silk Route. Silk Route came up in the ancient times. The Silk Route paved way for it. Paved, P-A-V-E-D. It's a Silk Route paved. Countries were in touch. Silk Route paved way for it. With the demand of goods. Continue. With the demand of goods. There was always a curiosity. For the Western world to enter the East. There was always a curiosity for the Western world to enter the East. They saw, they means the West. They saw the flow of products. Wealth, people, and ideas. They saw the flow of wealth, people, ideas, values, etc. They saw the flow of ideas, people, values, etc. So there was also a keen interest. Which took place to enter the Eastern world. to enter the Eastern world. History has always mentioned the Eastern world to be the richest one. History has always mentioned the Eastern world as the richest one. Richest one. The birth and spread of Islam. Continue. The birth and spread of Islam resulted in more commercial activities. And gradually they began to control all the trade activities. I've given it crisp. Getting it? So they were like that. Next paragraph. So one paragraph is over. Open a next paragraph. The Middle Age, also called as the Medieval Age. The Middle Age, also called as the Medieval Age, is a period in European history. The Middle Age, also called as the Medieval Age, is a period in European history which began from 476 AD, until 1453 AD. Underline. 476 AD until 1453. You need to put this in your head. Until 1453 AD. Underline this year. With the fall of the Byzantine Empire, or you can write fall of Constantinople. With the fall of the Byzantine Empire in 1453, with the fall of the Byzantine Empire in 1453, Constantinople came under the control of, with the fall of Byzantine Empire in 1453, Constantinople, capital of Turkey, Constantinople. It's here. Is it visible or not? With the fall of Byzantine Empire in 1453, Constantinople came under the control of the Ottoman Turks. Came under the control of the Ottoman Turks. We're writing it structurally. So, see, in exam, you need not write everything. I'm a teacher, I'm teaching you, so I'm making you write everything. The fall of Constantinople automatically go to control Ottoman Turk. It's understood, but since we are studying, we are writing everything. It came under the control of the Ottoman Turks. Yeah, the entire trade network went into their hands. So Europe tried to establish networks. So Europe tried to establish networks with the Turks. Yeah, with the Turks. Due to religious differences, Europe had a setback. But they are Christians, they are Muslims. Due to religious differences, Europe had a setback and a decline in their trading activities. Due to religious differences, Europe had a setback in, Europe had a setback in their and decline in their trade activities. Getting it, ma? Because they were not allowing. So the European nations, decided, to enter into a phase of PHASC. So the European nation decided to enter into a phase of exploration. Decided to enter into a phase, PHASC, a phase of exploration. This period is often referred as the Dark Age. Dark Age is often referred as the Dark Age of the history of Europe. Referred as the Dark Age of history of Europe. Next paragraph. Europe had certain disadvantages. During the medieval age. Writing, ma? Not writing. Right. Europe had not having a notebook? Okay. Can you get a paper from them? Go. Get a paper, start writing. Just go ask them for a sheet or get someone can help him with a paper and a pen. Start writing, ma. Yeah. What did I say? Europe? Yeah. Europe had certain disadvantages during the medieval period. Like number one, some disadvantages. Europe had some disadvantages. So for us, these are all disadvantages. Like number one, feudalism. This is a disadvantage. Europe had certain disadvantages. Like number one, feudalism. Let me brief you. See, no one is going to ask you. These are all in ancient India. Ancient India, you study about Indian feudalism. Here, it's not going to be that, they're not going to ask you. But I will tell you what's feudalism in a nutshell. Getting it? Feudalism, let's listen, then we'll write. It's an economic concept. Initially, not a political concept, became a political concept. So it was an economic concept. The main aim of feudalism is the king wanted lots of money. In terms, are you getting money in the sense resources? So what will the king do? The king will give an uncultivated land. I'm putting it in very simple. Imagine I'm the ruler. You all are my nobles and ministers and my relatives. Let's take it. I'm the ruler. I'm putting the Indian type so that we compare. Getting it? I'm the ruler. You all are my subjects, my relatives, my nobles, my minister. Now what happened? My empire is big. I have an uncultivated land. So now what happened? I bring the uncultivable land into cultivation. So an uncultivated land is brought into cultivation. So how do I bring that into cultivation? Now I pick some of you and I give you that land. Are you getting it? Let's take, I pick him, the yellow shirt. I tell him, ma, I'm giving you this land. It can be 2 acre, 20 acre, 30 acre. I just give him one land. He'll take one land. Now why do I give it to him? He may be my relative. He may be my noble. He may be my minister. He may be any trusted person. Feudalism works on the concept of trust initially. Later it's betrayal. Initially, I'm teaching the beginning of feudalism. Now he will be, I give a land. So who gives the land to the lord? King. The person who receives the land is called the feudal lord. Number one. Number two, what is his duty? He has to measure the land. Number two, he has to cultivate the land. Number three, he has to pay tax to me. So don't you think by giving one land, I'm getting money? So feudalism is an economic concept. Now what happened? Will he cultivate or will he put tenants to cultivate? He will put tenants to cultivate. He will not cultivate. He's a lord. So he will put some tenants to cultivate. So he will employ them and they will cultivate. He will pay tax to me. So what is the amount of tax? I fix an amount of tax. I say give me 1/6 of the produce. He may cultivate more. He may give only 1/6 to me. He may exploit his peasants. Anything can happen, right? That's positives of feudalism, negatives of feudalism. But don't you think the one important aspect of feudalism is exploitation will happen every time? It's like in modern India, you say zamindari system. It's exactly like that. So getting it now, every year he has to pay me a fixed annual tribute. So tribute in the sense I fix a tribute. Tax plus tribute, he has to give it to me. Likewise, I give one land to him, one to her, one to him, one to him. So you all get a piece of land. So every year, what do I get? Income. Getting it? Now gradually, you are not the owner of the land. You are the holder. Tomorrow you clear the exam. We give you the collector's bungalow. Are you the owner or holder? Can you sell the bungalow? You are the holder. You are not the owner. So feudalism, you don't own, you hold. So later, tomorrow I don't like him. I can take the land from him because I'm the king. I can give it to him. I can transfer. So feudalism can be transferred. Feudal lords can be moved to another place wherever I am. This is called feudalism, initially introduced. Now what will he do? To take care of that land, he will have an army. So feudal lord will have an army. That's why we call them as what? Warlords. W-A-R-L-O-R-D-S. Who's a warlord? A warlord is a feudal lord. So are you getting it? So now I'm there. So he's my relative. He's there and he pays everything. Now after me, my son becomes the ruler. Monarchy is hereditary. Now my son becomes a ruler. He doesn't like my son. It's not mandatory that he should like my son also. Are you getting? That's why kingdoms will fall. He doesn't like my son. So tomorrow what happened? He may declare independence. If my son is strong, he will fight with him. Are you getting it? He will defeat him. If my son is weak, what will happen? He will be defeated. Now who becomes the next king? He may become the next king or he may declare that region independent. So what happened? He'll become a small independent chief or a small independent petty chief. He'll establish a small kingdom. Now he'll do that. She also does this. You also do. You all declare independence. Imagine. One Karol Bagh, we cut it into small pieces. What will happen? Small kingdom. So this is called what? A kind of feudalism. So an economic concept gradually turned political because he'll have an army and his army will listen to him or me? Him. Because who's paying the army? He is paying the army. The feudal lord pays the army. The king doesn't pay. So the army will be loyal to him, not to me. So tomorrow if my son is so strong, my son will say, feudal lord, come on, sit properly. You'll all sit properly. If my son is weak, he says 1 year old. My son is only 1 year old because we have baby kings also. Napoleon, when he became the ruler, he made his 3-year-old son as a ruler of Italy. 3-year-old son. In Indian history, you would have heard small kids ruling, de facto, de jure. So tomorrow my 1-year son is a ruler. Someone becomes a guardian. Will you all listen to my son? Come on, what happened? No? No, of course no. But if I'm there, the relationship what you have with me doesn't mean that you should continue it with my son. Or tomorrow maybe my son doesn't like you. You like my son. Probability. My son may like you, may not like you. That's why when kingdom and kings change, policies change. So apply it. We apply it throughout India also. Akbar liked all the nobles. But some nobles Jahangir did not like. Some of the nobles did not like Jahangir. Vice versa. So they all were revolting against Jahangir. But with Akbar, they were all quiet. Because it's Akbar. You can't fight with Akbar. Akbar would thrash everyone because he's Padshah. But Jahangir, okay. Not like Akbar. All great fathers don't give birth to great sons. Genetic disorder is always there in history. Akbar's son is not Akbar. Ashoka's son, not Ashoka. Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Rahul. Are you getting it now? I think you all know. Genetic disorder is everywhere. So you can't say that, every great fathers. No. This combination is very rare. Krishna Deva Raya's son. Are you getting it? This is always there. Apply throughout, everywhere. Napoleon's son was not Napoleon. So this comes everywhere. Very rare we have this combination. And this combination also is there only in Indian history. With some rulers, great father, great son. That when you study Indian history, you'll get to know. So this is always there. So feudalism works like this. So this concept, what happened? And the land is so big. Imagine I'm the ruler of India. I'm in Delhi. I give him Hyderabad. Will I go to Hyderabad every now and then and check him? I do not know what he'll do in Hyderabad. Now she's getting Bangalore. Example. Now he's getting Visakhapatnam. Getting it. So what will I do? It's a matter of trust. And tomorrow, when you cheat me, what happened? It's betrayal. It's like the binamis. Ministers have binami. They give all the black money to them. Later, what will they say? No, I don't have anything. Here, watch. What's happening in India? Watch. What's happening? It's betrayal. And when you break trust, cheating. betrayal. This is what happened. This is what feudalism. We use the term. So Europe has got a different term for feudalism. Serfdom, fiefdom, feudalism. In India, it's called the Samanta system. Samantha. Samanta. The Samanta Lord. Who are Samantas? Samantas were Indian feudal lord. Okay, they're called as Samanta chief, Samanta Prabhu. Are you getting Samantas? Harsha was a Samanta of the Guptan ruler. Harsha was an Indian ruler, which means, how did Harsha become the next ruler? Like him. Declaring independence. So all the Rajputs were feudal lords of Harsha. They were all Samantas of Harsha. So imagine, so now you're getting the story, how kingdoms were born in India because of feudalism. Satavahanas were the first group in India to introduce feudalism. So in India, they were the first group. So who introduced feudalism? That's Indian history. So I'm teaching it so that you understand. I always connect Indian history. Because why? And I take you and me as an example. I'll be Hitler, you'll be my Jews. Are you getting it? I'll be Napoleon, you'll be my country. Because when I put it, automatically we get into the shoes. Are you getting? So that we understand it faster. And when you take live examples, things become easy. So that we don't break our head and think, why did Akbar do this? Why did, Napoleon do this? Why did Mussolini do? When you are in that situation, human mind, when you squeeze, automatically negative people will go there. Positive people will become Gandhi. Negative people will become Hitler. Gandhi will think, no, I'll not kill. You slap me? If someone slaps you, what does Gandhi say? Show the other cheek. But what does Hitler say? The moment they think to slap, kill him. Are you getting it? So there are two personalities, right? So you can't keep everything. So you have to decide who do you want. But we want only Gandhi. We should be India, father of a nation, Gandhi, UPSC. Gandhi. Yeah, Ma, you can't be negative because Hitler is negative. And we don't have negativity in our syllabus. As I keep on telling you, UPSC will never ask you to write bad about Hitler also. Even though the baddest person on earth, I call him bad boy. The bad boy whom I've ever known so far is Hitler only. Bad to the core, pathetic. When you study him, we'll be like, but we're like, okay, Hitler. Are you getting? Because we can't write negative. UPSC doesn't allow you to write negativity. So we're going to write Hitler's policy. He did this. You can't criticize. Who are you? Who am I? So we are not supposed to. So this is feudalism, clear? So this concept was there. Then I told you mercantilism. So in medieval world, what happened? When kings were, because all kings are not strong. Some kings are strong, some kings are weak. So with this, what happened? This is one challenge what Europe faced. And the king later, they couldn't abolish feudalism because it became a system. When it became a system throughout world, how will you abolish it? Even today, we are not able to abolish certain colonial practices. Till today in India, we still carry on with the colonial practices. The judge in the court wears what? A black coat. Convention, we continue. Initially, they used to have a wig. Don't you think certain things, still the legacy of the Britishers are continuing? Are you getting, still we hold a language which I speak, only then you understand, you speak, I understand. Still we continue with English. Because I don't know Hindi, so don't speak to me in Hindi. I don't know Hindi, though I'm here for 10 years. I've not learned Hindi, I speak English. Medium of instruction is English. So try to speak to me in English. Write it in English, medium of instruction. You speak to me in Hindi, then I'll speak to you in Tamil. Are you getting it? So you'll be like, this, then, because I know Tamil and English only. So getting it? So for me, it's Hindi is like Greek and Latin. You say something, are you getting it? But purpose is English, our medium of instruction. Because many students will think bilingual. Are you getting it? So this is what? So which means kingdoms do get, this was a very big problem what Europe had. So in a nutshell, I'm telling you, once you touch your Indian history, in our Indian history, ancient Indian history, we'll be teaching feudalism in detail. But world history, we don't want it. That's why I'm giving you all that small ones. I used to say this, kuti ones I give. Small ones I give you so that you know what is colonialism, what is mercantilism, what is crusade, what is capitalism, what is imperialism, what is humanism, what is age of reason. So I'm going to make you right now. Because I didn't touch feudalism, I thought I will touch it in an appropriate time. So clear with feudalism? Any doubts? Positive. We are going to take positive, but for Europe it was negative. So make a small side heading. Number A, feudalism. Under that, it was an economic concept. Feudalism. It was an economic concept which was a combination of. It was an economic concept, underline economic concept. Single quote, underline. It was an economic concept which was, it was an economic concept which was a combination of political, legal, and military elements. Political, legal, and military elements. Legal and military elements which flourished in medieval Europe. Which flourished in medieval Europe. Which flourished in the medieval Europe between the 9th to the 15th centuries. So which means it flourished between the 9th to the 15th century. See, you can write like this also, 9th century. This is also correct, you can write. You can even write 9th century, put a C. This is also allowed. I've taken this. With this means century. Either you write this or you write century, but word limit. So generally I say 6th century AD, 7th century BC. Write it like this. Better. Getting it much? So don't get, because there's certain way to write, you know. It flourished between the 9th century to the 15th century AD. AD. 15th century. In a broader sense, it means organizing a society. In a broader sense, feudalism means organizing a society based on economic and military terms. Organizing a society based on economic and military terms. Throughout the Middle Ages, Europe suffered. Throughout the Middle Ages, Europe suffered under feudalism. Because throughout the Middle Ages, Europe suffered due to feudalism. Because, number one, make a small subheading. Economic life was difficult. Because economic life was difficult as goods were produced. Economic life was difficult as goods were produced for commercial purpose, for selling only. Economic life was difficult as goods were produced for commercial purposes. Number two, the feudal lords maintained a strong army. Number two, the feudal lords maintained a strong army, which at times challenged the monarchy. Feudal lords maintained a strong army, which at times challenged the monarchy. Number three, there was a social and cultural exploitation of the feudal lord. There was a social and cultural exploitation of the feudal lord. Social and cultural exploitation of the feudal lord. Thus, points are over, we are under feudalism. Thus, this system had no motivation. For the people. It had no motivation for the people and the Lord to introduce reforms. No reforms were there. It had no motivation for the people and the Lord for reforms. Life was stagnant. With feudalism. So clear? Everything. Imagine this entire Karol Bagh is under one feudal lord. Imagine. He will tell you to only grow commercial crop. What will you eat? He will tell you do this only. Where will your thinking capacity go? Whatever he say, he's like one small king only. So this problem, and he'll have an army. You can't even fight with him. If you ask him something, he'll send the army to you. What will you do? So politically also, we are not able to do anything. Economically, life becomes stagnant. There's no room and motivation for me to think and do anything. I can't go and talk to the king because king himself is shaken by the feudal lord. So this is one big handicap what they had, number one. The second problem, shortcoming, number two, is crusades. Number two, crusades. Hope you got it. I taught you crusade. Yeah. The medieval world, under crusade, that's a heading, number two. The medieval world faced series of religious wars. SERIES. The medieval world faced series of religious wars called crusades. Series of religious wars called crusades. They were military campaigns. Continue, ma. Crusades. They were military campaigns. So underline religious war, underline military campaigns. They were religious campaigns organized by the popes. They were military campaigns organized by the popes. POPES, popes, and organized by the popes and the Islamic communities. Organized by the popes and the Islamic communities to reclaim Jerusalem. Islamic community to reclaim, RECLAIM, to reclaim Jerusalem. Jerusalem, 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 comma, the Holy Land. Reclaim Jerusalem, the Holy Land. These campaigns went on for several years and disturbed Europe. These campaigns went on for several years and disturbed Europe. Several years and disturbed Europe. Between 1095 AD. Between 1095 AD to 1291 AD. This is the year, ma, underline this. Between 1095 AD to 1291 AD. There were 8 main crusades. There were 8 main crusades. Yeah, there were 8 main crusades called as the official 8 crusades, which means unofficially there were many. Between 1095 to 1291 AD, there were 8 main crusades called as official 8. Official. What happened? Called as the official 8 crusades, which shook, SHOOK, shook the entire European system. Which shook the entire European system. By the end of the crusades, the Christians were unable. By the end of the crusades, the Christians were unable to gain possession. By the end of the crusades, the Christians were unable to gain possession of the Holy Land. Who took the Holy Land? Jerusalem. Muslims took it. The Christians were unable to gain the possession of the Holy Land, Jerusalem. Holy Land, Jerusalem. By the end of the crusade, the Christians were unable to gain possession of the Holy Land, Jerusalem. So who won the crusade? Islam. Getting this? This was a problem. Every time fighting, officially it's 8. Unofficially it was more. Every time they kept on fighting. And who sponsored the crusade? Pope. This side home, the Islamic ruler. Getting it? Have you heard Mahmud III? There were lots. Okay, lots of rulers sponsored it. And Christians and Muslims were fighting so badly, killing everyone. Brutal warfare. And it was a state-sponsored war. That's why we call it as a military campaign. So this also shook everyone. Clear with that? These are the problems which they had. Number 3, the third one, a decrease in trade. Third problem, decrease in trade and economic growth. This was another problem of the medieval world. Decrease in trade. That's your heading, and economic growth under that. With the spread of Islam, under that, with the spread of Islam, the Muslims began to control the entire trading activity. With the increase of Islam, with the spread of Islam, the Muslims began to control the entire trading activity. Full stop. The Arabs, the Turks, and the Persians were dominant traders. The Arabs, the Turks, and the Persians were dominant traders. Where the flow of trade was directed by them. Where the flow of trade was directed by them. Europe found it difficult. To surpass them. So their trading activity, Europe found it difficult to surpass them. So their trading activity got decreased. European trading activity got decreased. So their trading activity got decreased, which hampered their economic growth. As a result, Europe decided to create a new system. To promote trade. And increase. Decided to promote trade and increase her economic aspects. Particularly with resources. Full stop. So these are the 3 major problems which was there in medieval world. Now make a side heading, a big heading. Europe, make a fresh heading. Europe in modern times. So how was Europe in modern times? Anyone stuck till now? Any doubts till now? So this is the continuation we are going to get. So in modern times, here we are going to write Renaissance, Age of Reason, Geographical Discovery, Mercantilism, Capitalism, Colonialism, Imperialism. All these we are going to write here. If you know these concepts, our first topic will be easy. So getting a story of how the world was in medieval world, just get to know this bracket. This bracket is important. This is medieval world. So when does modern world begin then? When does modern world begin? 1453 to 1991. But when is our syllabus beginning? 1750. Hope you're getting it. So I have to fill you the back gap between 1453 to 1750. So what should be a bracket here? Europe in modern time. 1453 to 1750. Hold on with the bracket. Don't miss the bracket. So getting it, I've given you the period of 8 official crusades as well. So we're going on like this only. Yes, ma. See, Roman Empire, because the East and the West, there was a religious diffusion there. So when you look at exactly 464, the Roman Empire fell because of multiple reasons. One is there was no strong monarchy. Have you heard Nero was playing a fiddle when Rome was burnt? Number one, monarchy fell. Number two, economic crisis. Number three, there was no trading activity in the Roman Empire. Why? Because there was that barbaric invasion. Have you heard the Huns? Huna. The Huns invasion, the Huns. So the barbaric invasion. Antilla? Have you heard? So the Huns invasion entered and they burnt Rome. So there were 5 factors which made the Roman Empire to decline. Majority it was political and economic. And there was an internal civil war going on. So like you and me fighting in Rome. So when people were fighting, automatically what happened? When Rome was burnt, the chiefs controlled the eastern part of Roman Empire and they created the Byzantine. It's like North India and South India fighting. India, 2 are fighting. When there's an invasion happening, they cut it into 2. So it got divided into 2 Roman Empire, which happened in 464. Getting it? But we start the Middle Age in where? 476, aftermath. So 476 is where exactly they got divided into 2. It's a very common historical reason, like how all kingdoms fall. Yeah? So any doubts? Clear? So I stop here for today. We'll start taking it tomorrow, because when we start writing it, again, we have to cut it. Almost we are shortage of time. So tomorrow we'll write all of them. And the second half, we'll start with Industrial Revolution. So today, just give a very normal read of your class notes. That's fine. So any doubts you have, you can ask me. Anything you wanted to know? Yeah. Because that was Jerusalem. Where was Jesus born? Jerusalem. So the Muslims considered that to be the Holy Land. So the fight between the two was to acquire the Holy Land. So what happened? It was controlled by both the group. Because initially the entire world, particularly that region, was dominated by the Christians. Later, with the growth of Islam, they wanted to acquire that land. So automatically the crusade is called what? The military campaign to acquire the land. But who won the war? Muslims won the war. Are you getting? That's why Christianity, the Christians, the European Christians had a dip there. It's a very big story, but just get to know the tenets. Yeah. No, you have to go with the Islamic background. So all the connections, all the travel, everything was attributed that particular land, because that was a connection between the 2 places. So everyone, even for the Jews, Judaism, that was considered to be holy. That's why all the religious subs started fighting. So everyone, like how we have Allahabad, it's sacred for the Muslims. It's sacred Kash. It's called what? Prayag for Hindus. So getting it. So some places are sacred because a convention does happen. So thank you. See you all tomorrow. Yeah.
So ma'am, how come Europe has always been very